What happens when a royal sits down for a major American interview and ends up storming out? Prince Harry's long-awaited 60 minutes conversation with Anderson Cooper began with calm smiles. But as the questions grew deeper, the air shifted. The quiet room, simple and serious, like every 60-minute setup, felt steady at first. 2 chairs, a table, low lights, and space meant for honest talk. Anderson greeted Harry with a warm handshake and a polite smile. "Harry, thanks for joining us," he said. Harry nodded, trying to look relaxed, but a tightness sat beneath his expression. "Well, people want explanations," Harry muttered. Anderson chuckled lightly. "That's why we talk. People get to hear from you directly." The first minutes flowed without trouble. Anderson asked about Harry's life in America, his work, his shift from royal duties, and raising a family away from palace walls. But Harry's answers grew sharper. "America is fine," he said. "At least here, I don't have to bow to old traditions or act like my family understands me. It's freeing to be somewhere I'm seen as someone, not a spare piece in a system." Anderson leaned forward calmly. "But isn't there some comfort in tradition, a sense of grounding?" Harry smirked. "Comfort for who? The ones with crowns on their heads? Tradition is a cage, painted nicely. My family hides behind it." The room tightened slightly. Anderson noticed the spark of defiance in Harry's eyes, but kept his tone steady. "Millions still admire the monarchy. They see unity, strength." "What would you tell them?" Harry answered, fast. "I'd say they love a fairy tale. They don't see the control, the silence, the cost. They celebrate the crown, but ignore who suffers for it." Anderson paused, knowing the tension was rising. He moved gently. "Let's talk about family. You've spoken with emotion about Meghan and your kids. How is life as a father away from the institution?" Harry's jaw tensed. "Life as a husband and father is as it should be, and the press has no right to dissect it. I protect mine. That's more than the monarchy ever did for me." Anderson nodded, but didn't ignore the tone. "But when you share details in interviews and books, it invites questions. Isn't there a conflict between asking for privacy but choosing what to share publicly?" Harry's irritation sharpened. "Privacy isn't silence. It's control. I decide what the world deserves. If people don't get that, they aren't worth addressing." The shift was clear. Now Anderson kept a soft smile. "Some might say that sounds selective." Harry crossed his arms. "Selective? No. It's freedom. Something Americans should understand." The warmth had vanished, replaced by a cold stiffness. Anderson jotted a note, aware this conversation was becoming a spark ready to flare. Cameras stayed quiet. Crew members barely breathed. In the center, Anderson approached the next question carefully. "You've said much about the institution, but what about your mother? Princess Diana meant a lot to the world. Do you feel you continue her legacy?" Harry's lips pressed into a thin line. "Legacy is a word the media loves. You put her on pedestals, then tore her down. I'm not her replacement, and I won't let anyone use her name against me." Anderson nodded. "Many still see your spirit in your choices, challenging old traditions. Isn't that something you accept?" Harry scoffed. "People want to make me a symbol. I'm not here to be anyone's emotional reminder. My mother belongs to me, not the public." Anderson absorbed the bite and shifted. "Meghan, some say your marriage widened the distance between you and your family. Thoughts?" Harry's eyes flashed. "Critics who never met her talk the loudest. Meghan didn't pull me away. She freed me. Anyone who can't see that is blind." Anderson kept steady. "But calling her your savior gives her huge influence over your decisions, doesn't it?" Harry sneered. "It's called partnership. Something journalists don't get because you study other people's marriages instead of living your own." Anderson chose not to react. He moved to another area. "Raising your kids in America, you've said it, lets them be normal." Harry exhaled sharply. "Here my kids aren't props. They aren't chess pieces. And unlike back home, they have protection." Anderson tilted his head. "So, you don't believe your family would have protected them?" Harry scoffed. "They don't protect their own heirs. Why would they protect mine? My kids would have been sacrifices." Anderson sighed lightly. "Some might say appearing in shows and documentaries still puts them in the spotlight, but on your terms." Harry leaned in. "I don't need to justify my choices. I decide for my family, not the press, not the crown." Anderson's tone grew firm. "Every time I ask about accountability, you turn to control. Is balance possible?" Harry smirked. "Balance is a myth. Either you control the story or the story controls you. I refuse to be a victim again." Anderson's brow tightened for the first time. He let silence stretch before asking, "What do you see in your future? 10 years from now?" Harry gave a cold laugh. "The future is mine. I don't need to give the public a roadmap." Anderson tapped his pen once, a harder edge forming behind his calm. He asked quietly, I've spoken to leaders, soldiers, survivors. They all had humility. Do you think you've lost some along the way? Harry stiffened. Don't talk to me about humility. I've lived things you never could. I don't need to bow for approval. The air thickened. Anderson continued. Critics say you speak of escaping the monarchy, but profit from discussing it. Harry laughed sharply. Profit. It's reclaiming what was taken. If people pay to hear the truth, that's their choice. Better they hear it from me than tabloids you people love. Anderson's patience strained. I don't quote tabloids. I ask questions the public wants answered. Harry shot back. Same thing. You're all digging. You're no different. Anderson's eyes narrowed. You say you dislike attention, yet here you sit under cameras. Isn't it attention your way? Harry smirked. I'm here because you asked. Don't pretend it's the other way around. Anderson shifted slightly. Let's discuss your mother again. Would she be proud of how you've handled everything? Harry snapped. Don't use my mother for your story. You didn't know her. Anderson held steady. I asked your view, not hers. Harry's voice rose. My perspective doesn't need your approval. Anderson asked about Meghan again, and Harry grew even sharper, accusing him of obsession. Anderson's professionalism cracked slightly as he pointed out Harry's pattern of turning every topic into blame. Harry's tone dropped colder. I live for myself, not critics. Anderson leaned in. Yet you're on one of the biggest shows demanding to be heard. Harry warned him to stop lecturing, calling him no better than vultures. Anderson straightened. Many I've met carried dignity. What I see here is different. Harry answered coldly. Dignity is overrated. I survived. That's enough. Anderson looked at him, disappointment showing. You're not surviving. You're hiding behind anger. And if Diana were here, she'd be heartbroken. That hit like a blow. Harry stood abruptly, tearing off his mic. This is over, he snapped, marching toward the exit. Anderson watched calmly, then turned to the camera. Sometimes the truth cuts too close. Tonight you saw a man unwilling to face himself. He apologized to viewers, saying the interview revealed more than the answers themselves. The screen faded, leaving audiences stunned as the prince walked away from yet another hard conversation.